All right, guys, this is going to be the new pattern that we're going to be doing for the Zentangle. If you don't remember how to look it up, like you can look up additional Zentangle patterns. So I'm just going to write the word Zentangle here just in case you guys want to look up additional patterns for the final, because on the final, it's like I said, the more patterns you put on there, the better it's going to look. Now, this one that we're going to be doing, the name of it is going to be called Asunta. So that's the name of this particular pattern. Make sure you follow along as best as you can on this, because when I put the steps, if you don't do a specific measurement, so I'll show you, you kind of have to, you can eyeball it, but you just got to make sure that the measurements between the little lines on step 1. So I'm going to go ahead and write the steps right here. So steps, and then step 1 is going to be to draw, and I'm going to draw it here because like I said, when I see the actual drawing, I'm able to remind it better. So you can write them out in words if you wish, and it would just be to put dash lines, vertical and horizontal, but I like to see the actual image of what I'm drawing. So if you look at it, it's like a little dash, and then the other one is going to be up and down, and then a dash, and then up and down, and then a dash. So technically, like, practice here, and when you put it over here, be aware that we are going to try to get the spacing as even as possible. So if I have my spacing here with this, I want to try to make sure that the dash, and I don't want to make them too big either. I want to keep them kind of small because I don't want to see the dash at the end. They're just there as guides, okay? I don't want to make them too small, because if I make them too small, then I don't know which direction they're going in. But I don't want to make them too large either, because then it's going to be difficult to make it look like it's disappearing, okay? So at this point, the next step is going to be to continue, and again, my U's are all messed up because my words flow, but just bear with me with my handwriting. I'll say it out loud so you guys can write it correctly, okay? So continue the pattern, and then you're going to put, and you're going to put reverse. And I can put, what I mean by reverse, that if I started with the dash horizontal, I'm going to start it with vertical. So I'm just going to go like that in parentheses so I know what I'm talking about, okay? So over here on this section, again, remember the spacing. So the spacing from this to this, I want to kind of keep the same here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw first in a vertical motion, and then a horizontal, and then vertical. And try your best to line them up as best as possible, because if they're off, then when you start with the actual pattern, the major part of it, it's going to be off. So basically, you're just going to go all the way down. Some kids were telling me, ma'am, how many do I have to do? How many rows? That just depends on you, because I'm going to show you some ways of changing it up if you want to. So you could decide to fill up the whole thing. You can go all the way down. I'm going to go about maybe 4 or 5 rows down. So I am going to go ahead and I'm just going to continue, and I'm reversing them. So if I did vertical here, then it's horizontal here. I'm trying my best, like I said, to line them up. If I go crooked, then my actual image will start going crooked. So I'm just, you can eyeball it, but just try your best to line them. So I'm going to put another one. This makes 4. And I am going to do a 5th one, but I'm not going to go all the way. I'm actually, you can decide, like I said, you can decide to do more, and you can just fill it up all the way. But for the sake of showing you guys of how to change things up, because I know that on the other ones, when you do the next boxes, remember I said you can play around with it. So I'll probably stop right there. I'm not going to go all the way beyond that. And then I'll do one more, but I'm going to actually stop it even closer this way. So I'm just going to stop right here. And then maybe I'll do the last one over here that could fit, but I'm only going to do 2. So I'm leaving this space open in case I want to change it and move it around, okay, to play with it. Now the next step after that, step 3, I'm going to put draw, and it's a teardrop. I don't want to put pattern, but I'll put teardrop on each of the dashes. And what I mean by each of the dashes, the actual area that's here where it has the little point, this is going to be the bottom of the teardrop, and then the actual line going this way is the bottom of the teardrop like this. So it's the point with the round section. And then on this one, I'm going to go opposite. So how this is the point, I'm going to bring it here and make a teardrop in this direction. And then, so I'm just going to continue going to the side, and I'm just going to switch it. So it goes reversed every single time. Wherever you have these little sections, it's got the point, and wherever you have the little flat side, and I am curving them a little. And that's the benefit of making these small, not too big, because then you can manipulate it and you're not going to have a flat edge. You're going to have more of a, you can actually change it round edge and make it look like an actual teardrop. I had kids where they made the lines too big in previous years, and usually it doesn't look like a teardrop because they have that flat edge. They make them look like little Hershey's Kisses. So it's not that it couldn't be that way. I think they got some kind of curious looking little images when they made the little Hershey Kiss, and some of them actually changed them to where they look like the little chocolate, and then they drew the little papers that came over here off to the side. So that is an option, you know, like if it comes out looking like something else, who's to say that you can't make it work, okay? It's still considered the Asunta pattern. So at this point, now that I'm doing my next line, you're gonna do it opposite. And if you pay attention to here, you'll notice that it's gonna go in the opposite direction. So they're just gonna be opposite to whatever is on the top. And I will just continue my way off to the side. But even when you guys do that teardrop little effect here, it's not going to just stay that particular image, because I do have to make sure that I also go off to the opposite side by going up and down. So just because I'm going side to side doesn't mean I'm finished. I also have to go up and down. So at this point right here, this is the point. So I'm going to go this way, and notice that now my teardrop is like an actual teardrop. It goes in the right direction. So if I'm gonna do it on this one, it's going to be opposite. So it's kind of common sense that right here, I'm going upward instead of downward. And then it's going to go opposite here. So I'm going downward instead of upward. And I'm just going to continue the pattern all the way until I fill all the little areas of my lines. Can I choose to do them over here on the edge as well to close it off? Yes, but that's your option. I'm not going to say you have to, especially for the practice. You might decide it might look better for your final. But that's going to be on a biased opinion. So I can't tell you you have to do it, or that no, don't do it because it looks better that way. I mean, I don't know. I could think it looks better, but you don't. So you get to choose if you're going to want to do that last area to kind of close it off. So just kind of go slowly until you get that little teardrop effect. And then notice here that when I go up, because this one went down, so now it's opposite. It goes up and then this one goes down. So they're going to be opposite from each other. And they kind of create like almost this kind of little flower effect almost. For me, it kind of reminds me, even though they're in opposite directions, kind of reminds me of like a 4-leaf clover, I've always thought, at least in my opinion. Some people are like, no, it doesn't, ma'am. But I was like, well, for me, that does. Just even though it's not necessarily like in the right direction, because technically it would be in this direction. But, and then they have the other shape of leaf, but you can always change the shape of leaf on your final. If you want to make it look more like a 4-leaf clover, you know how it has like the little heart shape almost on each edge, then you can do that too. So since I already know the pattern, I can go a little bit faster. You take your time with this. You guys know that I'm going to post the videos. So at this point, and I'm not going to do this one, of course, because I don't have my lines anymore. And I'm not going to do the edge because I haven't been doing the edges on those. But you guys can slow down if you need to watch this again. You can. So I'm not going to go that way because I don't have my line anymore, like I said. So I know I'm going quickly just to kind of get the idea of it, but you guys slow down when you do yours. And then this one's a point like this. Okay, so I don't have any more of these over here. This is why I left it like that, because I can decide to do something else with it. Now, step 4 is if you're going to add, because like I said, just like with the other ones, you can add other little things inside of these. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, just plain like this. You can choose to leave it plain, but step 4 would be to add, and you can put other designs. And I'm going to put in parentheses if you want, because this is not mandatory. So if you want to put a little star, because it's an option, it's not, you don't have to, it's not mandatory, okay? And then of course, step 5 would be transition. So those are the only steps for this one. Now, like I said, I left this open because I want to kind of play with it. So on mine, where I used it on my final, and I'll show you that in just a little bit, but like what I did was these looked like leaves for me. And what I ended up doing was I ended up changing the design so that way the little leaves, and you can even have maybe something coming from over here, since this technically would be like this. Maybe this one, I'm gonna have the leaves kind of do something like that. So you can change it and kind of make the leaves like maybe like a little pattern that does something like this. I can have another one that maybe does the same thing right here. So I can kind of do the same thing where, but this one's in the opposite direction. So I'm probably going to do something like this, and I can have my little swirl go this way. So you can change it up and add other elements. You can find a way to add them. Like I said, for me, it looks kind of like a 4-leaf clover. So if I wanted to, I could kind of just do this and then change the whole design of it where it's more like this shape, and then maybe this one starts changing into it. So there's other things that you can do. Doesn't necessarily have to look, like I said, doesn't have to necessarily look exactly like these. So you can change them up. Some people did Hershey's Kisses, like I said, the years in the past, because they made these lines a little bit bigger when they made them. So instead of doing the teardrop, which would be like this, instead of being a teardrop, because the lines were bigger, they went like that, and they kind of like ended up making them look like little Hershey's Kisses, you know, when they did the shading and all that stuff, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you guys how to shade some of this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You know, I know these are a little bit small. When you do your final, you can clean them up. I know mine are a little bit sloppy, so make sure that your edges are clean, at least on the one that you're gonna shade. If you're just doing it quick to practice on the other 3 boxes that are just the outline, I'm not gonna say anything. But on the final one, the one that you're going to actually shade, take your time and clean them up. You know, like these lines shouldn't be very choppy. They should be a little bit more clean line like this one, okay? Now, as far as the shading goes, or even designs, like if I wanted to do designs within this, there was some options where I was telling the kids, you can make it look like there's a hole in the middle of it, and you can kind of make it like that. And when you do the background here, you can shade the background in this section and kind of make it look like it's see-through. Like I said, for me, these kind of look like leaves. And when I did it, I actually put a line in the middle of these to make them look like little leaves. And you can do them in color as well. They don't have to be black and white. So if you want to shade them with a green color pencil and make them look like a leaf and then just put a line in the middle, you can do that, okay? Now, talking about the transitions, you guys are going to have some options. So these are some of the options that you guys have. Usually when things go underneath something else, it creates a shadow. So technically, when you guys are shading these kind of things, what makes sense to me is to go dark here in the point and then pick up the transition as you move outwards. So circular motion. And I'm going to turn my paper a little bit because it feels more comfortable for me to go this way. And then you're going to lift the transition and get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter as you come out this way. So you can choose to do that to every single one. And all it's going to do is create that little shadow on the bottom, like right here, like it's going inside. Like this is causing a little shadow right here. So that's an option. I've had people where they want to make it look really round, so they'll do dark to light on both sides. So I'll do it on this one over here. So they go dark to light from this way, and then dark to light from this way. And that's just going to create more of a 3D effect. And they have the actual light here in the middle of the teardrop, and that'll create it like more of a round effect. So that's another option too. If I go back and I do the little, like let's say I did this with green, the green color pencil, and I go back and I add the little line in the middle, I mean, that's the way I did mine, which I'll show you on the final when I show you guys. So these are little things. You can also put little circles in here. So like, let's say, remember how we did it on the other one? You can put like small to big circles. You can turn them into little ornaments if you want. Like I had one girl where she kind of made like these little zigzag designs on it, and she made them look like little ornaments almost because of the colors she used. They kind of reminded me of like a little Christmassy effect. But make sure that it has some type of transition before you add some of those little effects. You know, you can always go dark to light and then dark to light from this part out this way. So you have transition not only on this side, but also on this side. And then for the background, you also have options. Now, the easiest that I find, because it's already sectioned off, I tend to like it when I've seen students where they go dark here. They go dark from the edge to light in the middle. And then right here, they go dark to light in the middle. And then also over here in this section. So on each of the edges, they go dark to light in each of those little areas that you see there. And so they will do transition like that on every single one. And usually that really pops. The times that I've seen the students do that, it pops really, really good because each one has shadows. But you don't have to do that. I've also had people, because they're real good at matching. So whatever gray they put here, they'll put here. And then as they move this way, so each of the backgrounds has a transition where it goes dark to light in this direction. So you could choose to do that as well. So, you know, I'll try my best. I'm that one usually is a little bit more difficult, guys, like especially if you're not seeing it as a whole. But if you can do it because you know that you're good at matching grays, then go ahead and do that one as well. I just find this one easier. And then of course, this one would have to match because it's falling around the same time, like the same little spacing. And then right here, I gotta make sure that I get even lighter. And then so I gotta match this gray over here and get lighter. And then because this gray needs to be a little bit darker, it should be just a little bit darker right here. And then it gets lighter as it goes off to the side. And then so I'm gonna match this one over here. And then as it goes up, I need to get darker because I gotta match this one up here. So I have to have just a little bit darker of a gray. And then this has to match this right here because it falls around the same area. And then it has to get even darker as it goes up. So, I mean, that's another thing you guys can do is you can just match the grays and go dark to light as it comes down, which is another option of doing the background. So I just make sure that the grays match as it goes. It doesn't have to be angled either. Like I'm doing this at an angle. So this is the same gray here. You don't have to do it diagonal. You can also do it from the bottom, dark to light in this direction. So you've got options. You guys can try doing different ones and see what looks better. This is why I have you guys do the practice. So that way you guys can see what you're gonna wanna do for the final, and then you have a better understanding of what is possible for your final, okay? So at this point, you know, I just need you guys practicing, like I said, play around with it, play with the designs. You can change it up also on one of them to kind of start playing to see what you can turn it into on yours. I am gonna show you real quick on where I used it on my final image because you can see how you can change it like 100%. Like here, this is where I used it. You can see that I made the little green leaves. I even, let me focus it a little bit better. I even did the black and white background. You can see this is just my favorite option of going dark to light. I just think it pops a lot more. And then as I got to this one and I knew I had this swirl here, this is where I started changing the direction and making it look like if this was like a plant and so forth. I haven't finished it. I still need this side over here, and I'll probably be adding to this one as you guys are working on your final when you guys get to that point. Right now, we're just on the practice. But once you guys started the design on your final, I'll probably be working on camera on this one so that way I can add a little bit more this year. Because usually over the years, I've just added a little bit as the students are working, okay? So at this point, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video because I already went over this and this is what we're doing for today. Like I said, I will post this one as well as the one we did last week. Both of those are gonna go up already for you guys today, and for the other classes, I'll post them on the day that I do have them and see them, and they'll be watching this video. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording there.